G'day guys, Nick here from Those Hairy Gamers, and we are back at Fantasy Flight's X-Wing page to take a look at another preview from Wave 11. Here is the Tie Aggressor preview article in Play the Aggressor. Yes, finally the Imperials have a turreted ship on their faction. Now in this article they've revealed everything but the dial, which is a bit frustrating unfortunately because, well, the dial really relates to all the other stats on the ship. You don't really know how a ship functions until you see the dial. So when I'm talking about things on this ship, I'm just sort of making my best guess. I'm going to assume, based on the way this is costed, this is going to be pretty close to a standard TIE Fighter dial. We know so far it doesn't have any Talon rolls or S-loops or anything like that because those rule cards are not shown in the spread. And considering this ship can take a turret, it doesn't really need a fantastic dial to function well in battle. I just think that standard TIE Fighter maneuverability without anything too crazy is pretty much what we should expect here. Right, so in this article they have revealed all 4 pilot cards that will come with the ship. The cheapest, the buy-in for this ship, the Sinar Specialist, comes in at a squad point cost of 17 points and has a pilot skill 2 with no APT as we'd expect. This is cool. This is a very, very aggressively costed ship, no pun intended. And off the bat they've offered us 3 different builds that they suggest that we can try out, and I actually love all 3 of those. I'm just going to go through these quickly. First of all, we have the Sinar Specialist with unguided rockets, a basic missile upgrade card which takes up both of the missile slots on this ship. It's a very weird kind of concept, but I think I understand the whole idea behind it. It's a 3 dice attack where it works range run to 3, and the only way you can modify your dice is to spend the focus for its standard effect. In other words, you spend a focus token to change all your focus dice results to hit results. This is cool. They've gone on about this card and talked about, it means that your opponent can't modify your attack dice, and they're talking about Sensor Jammer, they're talking about M9G8. To be honest, I don't think Sensor Jammer really gets enough play to sort of warrant this as a reason to take unguided rockets. And M9G8, again, a very conditional card. I think on the whole, this is just a very light 3 dice attack. What this card is designed to do is to give ships like the Aggressor, or the TIE Bomber, or the TIE Punisher 3 dice attacks. It does it in a sort of a soft way. You can't use target locks. You can't reroll with stuff like Predator, but it's still a 3 dice attack, and for 2 points on a ship that otherwise only had a 2 dice attack, that's pretty potent. The Defender doesn't get range bonuses at range 3, so that's another little bonus from taking this. It's a very basic little thing. It only costs 2 points, and it's just a slight buff to the standard attack of those ships, so I can understand what they've done with this. And this build here, with the Sinar Specialist and Unguided Rocket, is 19 points. You could theoretically take up to 5 of those on the table. Even if you only just take 1 or 2, that's pretty good. You've got a ship with okay firepower. I don't think it's the best option for Imperials around 20 points, but I think it's a nice simple competitive concept. 5 of those on the table might do okay. I think there are certain lists that it will struggle against, but it's a nice concept and I do like it. Alright, another build they've suggested is the Sinar Specialist with Ion Cannon Turret, Ion Pulse Missile and Guidance Chips. This, I think, is going to be pretty damn potent. Ion Cannon Turret alone is awesome. It's, in my opinion, a very, very underrated card. It's expensive, it costs 5 points, but it offers you some great control. Again, it's a bit conditional. It's great against certain ships. I love having an ion cannon turret against, say, Poe Dameron, for example. Because he's such an expensive small ship with only 2 agility, it's easy to trigger this against him and get some really good board control. On a ship like Poe Dameron that wants to keep you in arc and keep shooting, that's very powerful. The Ion Pulse Missile speaks for itself. 3 dice, range 2 or 3. Attack target lock, spend the target lock to do the attack, and if it hits, the defender gets 2 ion tokens and 1 point of damage. It's very, very, very good. Very easy to hit with it as well. You get 3 dice, and coupled with guidance chips, you get an extra free hit. It doesn't matter that you're not getting the crit off guidance chips because the crit won't help you with Ion Pulse Missile anyway. It doesn't matter if you get hits or crits, it'll always turn into 1 point of damage and 2 ion. So for 25 points, you can have a very, very control-y build on this guy. You could just play 4 of these guys with this build if you wanted. I think you'd really need to couple it with a bit of firepower. If you just ran 4 of these, you'd have amazing ion control, but just not enough sort of firepower to finish off your opponent. And that's where this next build comes in, and this is the one that I think is really going to make waves. The Sinar Specialist with TLT and lightweight frame. Now, I'm going to make the comparison because, of course, I'm going to make this comparison. Syndicate Thug, Unhinged Astromech, and TLT. We have a new TLT list, guys. This guy fields for 25 points, 23 points without the lightweight frame, but honestly, what else are you going to use those 2 points on? The advantage this guy has over the Y-Wing is that he has 2 dice, often turning into 3 dice because of the lightweight frame. He's probably going to have a pretty standard-ish TIE Fighter dial, which means the dial overall will be better than the Y-Wings. Now, the Y-Wing has an advantage in this case because it has the unhinged astromech, so all of its 3 speeds are green, which the Tie Aggressor might not have. Again, I have to come back to this point if we don't know the dial yet, so I can't say for sure this is the better option, but right now this is looking like the better option. You have a ship that can defend itself much better. It has barrel roll. It'll probably have a better dial. So positioning wise, you're going to line up those shots time and time again. The Syndicate Thug, still great, a bit more tanky, but I think overall this new build with the Sinar Specialist is going to become the new TLT list. If you want to build that Ion list, you really want something else with a bit of firepower. Bam, right there. 2 Ion Sinar Specialists, 2 TLT Sinar Specialists. I think that's going to be a really, really friggin' vicious list. They've made a huge deal about this low-cost pilot, and for good reason too. Yeah, I think this is seriously going to make some waves. Also been spoiled is this guy, the Onyx Squadron Escort, but yes, they've given us another generic pilot without an EPT slot. Yeah, there's not much to say about it. I just think this is not going to get played. 3 more pilot skill for 2 more points. Just not worth it. Just not worth it. I've seen some people float the idea of putting TLT on this guy, but I think for those 2 points, lightweight frame is absolutely the more competitive option. You'll end up flying against lists with aces in it, and it's not going to make a difference whether they're 2 or 5. Take the lightweight frame, get more defense dice, and you'll have a much better time. Onyx Squadron Escort, I'm 99% sure, is absolutely useless, unfortunately. But hey, that's okay, because now we have named pilots. Yes, taking a slight step down in pilot skill, but for the same cost, we have Double Edge. Pilot Skill 4 has an EPT slot, so again, much better option. Once per round, after you perform a secondary weapon attack that does not hit, you may perform an attack with a different weapon. I don't know. I mean, you can give him unguided rockets, you could give him TLT. This article, by the way, has been out for about 2 weeks, and I've looked over this article a few times and had to think about these pilots. I just don't see the value in this guy. You could take unguided rockets, which means you could take a shot with your unguided rockets and then, oh no, it missed, and you just take a shot with your primary, but your primary's only got 2 red dice. It's, I don't know. TLT... I believe the circumstances for quote-unquote missing with a TLT or something like cluster missiles is you must miss both, so that's probably not going to happen. You could take the new turret card, the synced turret, but that shouldn't be missing either. I mean, it's a 3 dice attack. I can't see this triggering too much. It's another one of those circumstances where I feel pilot abilities should be more potent than this. They should be more potent in general than upgrade cards. We already have cards like the Y-Wing title, which guarantee you 2 shots, one with the turret, one with your primary. Yeah, I know they've got to be an arc, so I guess you could argue that that's less potent, but come on. A guaranteed 2 shots every time is way more potent than this guy. The fact of the matter is, he has to miss with a secondary weapon, which only reliably is going to be unguided rockets, and it just means you can take a shot with your primary, or you trigger something with a turret, but you're taking a shot with a weapon that you think's going to miss, so nah. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I just can't see the value in it. If anyone watching this has a good idea for this guy, please comment it below, but I've got nothing. I've no idea. Let's move on. Alright, the big guy, Lieutenant Kestel. Pilot Skill 7 has an EPT slot for 22 points. When attacking, you may spend 1 focus token to cancel all of the defender's blank and focus results. This is cool. This is really cool. This just looks at pilots like Sunterfell and goes, nope. You can put a TLT on him. Yep, you got auto thrusters. I do not give a crap. Spend the focus token. You have no blanks to convert. That is a great ability. It would be better on a different ship, I have to admit. Something with maybe a primary 3 attack, something with a bit more balls in general. But having said that, perhaps if it was on something like an interceptor or a defender or something like that, it would be too overblown. I can understand why it's on a ship that relies on secondary weapons. You've really got to make the choice about how you use that focus token. But with a TLT, I think that's pretty solid. I think he's a great candidate for something like expertise, because if you have that focus token, you're not going to want to spend it on your attack. You're going to want to spend it to destroy all those blank and focus results. So yes, that works quite well. You could do something like TLT in expertise, but that's expensive. That's 10 points right there. But it's cool. If 32 points, you get something that hits pretty consistently. Yeah, TLT can only put out 2 damage per turn, but it's good fun. But he just laughs at ships like Fen Rao or Suntafel. You got auto thrusters, he doesn't care. You got stealth device, he probably doesn't care. More dice aren't going to work if you're just going to roll focus or blanks. And most results on the green dice are focus or blanks, by the way, guys. On the green dice, you have 3 evade results, and the other 5 are either focus or blanks. That means he has a real good chance of just destroying any hope you have of evading his attacks. So it's expensive, but I think expertise and TLT is the way to go with this. That's vicious. I do not look forward to this guy. Something he'll combo well with is a crewed ship flying wingman with Operation Specialist. The reason I bring this up is because if he ever misses an attack, he can take a free focus token. Indeed, if you have a higher pilot skill ace like a Mega Leader or Suntafel on your squadron, and they miss an attack, he can take a free focus token. And if he potentially has multiple focus tokens, he can use it very viciously on his attack, on his defense, or even both on his attack. He can convert all his focus results and deny all his opponent's focus results if he happened to have 2 tokens. There are some good options here. I don't know exactly what the best build's going to be. I'm sort of erring on the side of expertise and TLT. I just think it's very, very expensive. Considering the options you have with Imperial Aces, that might be a bit too overbloated, but it might be awesome. I don't know. I'm not strictly an Imperial player. I'm very much a Scum player. But I think this guy is going to be vicious. People just are going to have to work out exactly the best way to use him. There are a lot of options here. Personally, I'm just not sure where to go with this guy. So again, guys, if you have any ideas, leave a comment and let me know what you think we should do with this guy. We've also got a couple of upgrade cards coming with this. The Synced Turret. Now, this is very interesting. It's a turret, so it shoots in 360 degrees. Only range 1 to 2, 3 red dice. You must have a target lock on the ship in order to take this attack. If the defender is inside your primary firing arc, you may re-roll a number of attack dice up to your primary weapon value. So if it was on the aggressor, for example, they take a 3 dice attack at range 1 to 2 in arc, and then they can re-roll 2 dice. Pretty potent, pretty potent. I can understand the whole idea of taking a target lock, which always gives you re-rolls, but the idea it sort of has inbuilt re-rolls in it. I don't think this is the best card for the aggressor though, which is weird because the artwork on it is of a Tie Aggressor. I think this is going to be much better on ships that can get target locks quite easily, where they don't have to take it as an action. I'm thinking any sort of Scum ship that can take a K4 security door, for example. This will be fantastic on that. Any ship with a system slot that can take fire control systems. They're going to be able to get those target locks time and time again and be able to trigger this reliably. Having said that, again, I have to come back to this point. We haven't seen the dial for the Tie Aggressor, so we don't know how well it's going to be able to maneuver in battle. If it can quite reliably get ships in its arc, in other words, it has a very good dial, then this might be a lot more potent. It's a 3 dice attack, so it's still a pretty decent buff on top of its regular primary attack. Range 2, it gets 1 more dice and can re-roll 2 dice. Range 1, it gets no dice bonus, it would already have 3 dice, but it gets the 2 re-rolls nonetheless, so it's pretty good, it's pretty good. 4 points is not what I'd call cheap. It's the same cost as the blaster turret, but this is a much better version of the blaster turret, I think. I think the blaster turret, especially now that they've nerfed the R4 aggro mech, and they've gotten rid of all those nice combos, I just don't think it really has any place in the current meta. And this is the turret that has come along to fix it. I will say, I think the sync turret is going to be incredible on the Skurg Bomber. I will explain why when I make my video on the Skurg Bomber article. I just think it's going to combo so well with that ship's abilities and its upgrades, but more on that later. Let's get on to the last upgrade card. Alright, Intensity. Now, I'm not too sure how to feel about this. This EPT is either going to be pretty good or it's going to make friggin' waves. Small ship only, dual card. After you perform a boost or barrel roll action, you may assign one focus or evade token to your ship. If you do, flip it face down. And when it's in its face down position, it's called exhausted, and you need to spend a focus or evade token at the end of the turn to flip it face up again. So you could theoretically get a token, not use it the entire combat phase, and then flip it face up again to use the next turn, which is pretty cool. Yes, this is really, really cool. It gives any small ship ace a bit of action economy that didn't otherwise have. It doesn't have to stress itself out like in Push the Limits. Now, Push the Limits is great because any action can trigger another action at any time, so it has a bit more flexibility, but this card doesn't stress. That's the main advantage with this. The disadvantage is you have to find a way to flip it face up after every time. You can't just rinse and repeat over and over again, unless you find other ways to get tokens on your ship. And that's the beauty about this card. This is what I think it's going to benefit with most. It's going to work the best on ships that are pretty capable of getting tokens already. It's going to work great in lists with Operations Specialist, so you can pass out those focus tokens and, if need be, get it just on the right ship at the right time so you can flip Intensity back face up again. It's going to go great on pilots that already have strong capabilities of getting focus tokens. I think Intensity might be fantastic, and I say might because there might be a better option, on Guri. The Guri pilot ability is when she's in range 1 of an enemy ship at the start of the combat phase, she gets a free focus token. It's also a ship with boost and barrel roll, so a lot of positioning reliance with Guri. Boost and barrel roll are often actions she wants to take. She doesn't mind diving into range 1 because she gets the token anyway. She has that nice defensive capability. If she could boost into range 1 or even barrel roll into range 1 and get a perfect shot in the ship, get an evade token, and then at the start of combat phase get a focus token, there's a good chance she's not going to want to spend both during the combat phase. But if she does, she'll put it to good use. And even if she does, even if this is face down at the start of the next turn, she has got a great ability which allows her to get focus tokens really easily. It means there's a very strong opportunity for her to get it in later turns, flip it face up again, and get it working again. The reason I'm not so sure about this combination is because she works fantastically with a tiny mind link. However, I don't always love putting a tiny mind link on her because she likes to do S-loops, and S-loop stresses her out, stresses out all the other ships in the fleet. This is going to give her a bit more action economy, get her access to evade tokens. It's also going to free up her dial a bit more because now she can take the S-loops, she doesn't have to stress out all her friendly ships, and yeah, I'm on the fence about whether this is better than a tiny mind link on Guri, but I think it's a very, very strong option. So yes, the Imperials finally have a ship with the turret upgrade, and it may just become the most competitive turret ship in the game. We haven't been able to see it on the table yet, we don't know what the dial looks like, so we can't really glean too much from this article. So hopefully when it drops, it makes a huge splash, Imperial players finally get turrets, they can stop complaining about Syndicate thugs, and we just get a bit more diversity across the field. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, Wave 11 is about sharing around some of the tech around these factions. Finally, Imperials get a turreted ship, and very, very soon we're going to see a bomber on the Scum faction. Ooh, yes, I'm excited for this. Once the Skurg Bomber article drops, I will be sure to cover it from head to toe. Until then, thanks for watching, guys. I will catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.